G'day guys, this is Rick from Tips and Ratings. Thought for today we'd do a preview of the 2015 Australia Cup, and we'll take a look at our rating sheet, our rated prices, our early rated prices. Things will change, and go through each runner and quickly discuss basically their chances, and why we've sort of used the certain figure that we have, and where that figure comes from. So just to sort of give you an idea of how we arrived at the destination. So it looks a good race, and obviously with the cleaner involved, that does appear that obviously he'll go forward. Entirely Platinum is a horse that gets up on speed. Greatwood will probably work forward. Big Memory is a chance to work over as well from out wide. So there's no shortage of go forward types of horses. Mourinho looks like he'll be able to work over and get a nice spot. We've got also a host of other horses that appear to sort of get back. So just on the automated map here, there isn't really, there's a handful of handy and leaders, and there's the other half that are sort of off mid to back. So tactics will be interesting here, especially with the horses that can generally get back. How much closer they get in, and if they don't kick up early and stick to generally how they go, give the horses that will go forward on the outside to get a chance to slot in. So we'll start with Red Cadeau, and look, I've just put the market in there for him, and he, we know a fair bit about this horse, but the reality is he sort of, besides the Melbourne Cup, his form around 2,000 metres has been okay, but we'll just wait and see with him. We'll let the market be the guide, but he's probably one we're happy to work around at the moment. Protectionist, so he's going pretty well. I thought that he was fair first up. He was 4 lengths off of Mourinho, so he does need to improve in very basic terms, 4 lengths from that run to catch up to Mourinho. And I think what he'll be aided by is getting back to Flemington on the big track, and certainly, if they do run along here, he's going to be warming up late. And just looking at his late sectionals, he does, judging by what he did last campaign, he does have quite a big scope of improvement coming into this race. It's just whether the extra 200 metres is enough, and that will probably be purely dictated by how quick they go, I think. But look, he's sort of come out around $7, and he's a 125 for us on speed, which is top shelf. Then we've got Happy Trails, and he's a builder. He builds into his campaign, so he always sort of takes a few runs to hit his straps. And I thought he was really good last start, and his class figures were okay. He's got a lot of room to sort of improve on that side of things, and just with speed, I thought he was really good. It was one of his stronger showings for a second up run that I've got in my historical history for the horse, and it sort of tells me that he's back in really good order. Obviously, he's drawn really well, and he's got that really strong Cox Plate form. So on class and speed, he's just right up there, and he's basically equal top rater with Mourinho. On to Four Teller. This horse was quite good in Sydney, over a mile behind Contributor. I thought he ran on quite well along the fence. He had strong late sectionals, and obviously he appears to be back in quite good order. If Hartnell or Contributor came to this race, I'm sure that they'd be right at the top of the market. And we just have to look third up last campaign, he beat Happy Trails at Caulfield. And obviously going back, he was only half length off winning the Cox Plate and didn't probably have a great deal of luck at certain stages. So we know a fair bit about this horse. And the one thing we know is he just consistently runs well in these types of races. So I think that the early prices were is around $10, $11, and I think that's a take. I think that's pretty good value, and I think $8.50 at this stage is about right. On to Extra Zero. He's a horse that's had a terrific campaign. He's only won once, but he's performed at a very consistent level. His speed ratings have consistently been between 115 and 120, which suggests that he's a good sort of listed to Group 3 horse, and he's sort of been unable to break through that 100 barrier on class, and he'll run a good race, but he's just outclassed here, so he can't win. On to Mourinho, and look, he's come back in a great vein of form. He won well first up over 1,200 metres. He just missed out behind Dissident second up off a slow tempo and was just a bit too good for them last start. He does run around this horse at the end. It's always a bit of a concern, but he's going really, really well, and certainly his form. If you track it back, you can find a lot of good runs around this range. He hasn't got to the absolute top like Happy Trails and Foreteller and Protection. So when it's come to his absolute best, he sort of on class, he's a couple of lengths off of those, but the horse is flying and his speed figures are through the roof, and he needs to be highly respected, and he looks good value at this stage. Onto the Cleaner. I thought his run was okay in Tassie first up. He was beaten by the 3-year-old, the Admiral, who came out and ran pretty well in the Guineas. He was beaten less than 3 lengths by Wangina. If we sort of cast our eye back to the Cox Plate, where we can line up Wangina and Wangina and the Cleaner, and there wasn't sort of a great deal between them. So if you could bounce right back the Cleaner, he could certainly give this a good run for his money. But I think I needed to see just a little bit more first up, and if he sort of tries his usual tactics, then he's going to be he's going to find it quite difficult to continue on through the whole race at that type of speed. On to Puccini, and he's another horse. Sorry, I'll just edit that. Okay. So look, on the figures I have for him, he hasn't sort of come out too well. However, with these different types of horses from New Zealand and whatnot, I do heavily use the profiles supplied by Daily Sectionals, as they give a really good insight into how these horses are going. So we'll do an adjustment with that one later, but I would think that horse would be a little bit out of his depths here. Onto Ladari. Look, I thought he resumed quite well first up. He was only beaten 2.5 lengths by Smoke and Joey. I guess in hindsight that does sound a little bit below where we are now. He is a horse that, I sort of had him running the 98 first up on class last prep over 1400 and 97.5 first up this time. And last time he did progress to 2,000 metres at Flemington in the Turnbull to sort of only be beaten half a length by Lucia Valentina. So I'm not sure if last run, I'm not sure what happened, if there was an issue, because it was just way down on basically what would have been expected from him. And he's a horse probably at odds that, look, he's come out 100 to 1 He might be a horse that could really bounce back here and put in a good effort. And obviously third up last prep, he was only beaten less than 2 lengths by Fortella and Happy Trails. So it's just whether that run last start was an aberration and he'll just return to what he usually does, or if he's gone. And I'm not quite sure if I can answer that at this stage, so I'm not sure about him. On to Axar. This horse is flying. I thought his run last start was sensational. Was probably about his best run that I've got. He was really, really good, and I think that sixth up here, rock hard fit. Flemington 2,000 metres. This horse has produced speed ratings up over 125 at Flemington over 2,000 metres. That's certainly strong enough. That's exactly what you need coming into a big Group 1 like this. He's very fit, and we know that Darren Weir will have him, ready to go. And if we, analyse his sectionals from last start, basically, over the last 200 metres, he was almost equal best with Spillway. So he's going really well, this horse, and obviously from the right stable to have the horse going really well on grand final day. He looks valuable, so he's currently, we've got him marked $9. I think $11 is a bit of value there. On to Au Revoir, and he was pretty good first up. He did run along quite hard early. The whole leading pack did. You could only think that he'll be benefited from that run, and certainly looking at his runs from last campaign, he will only continue to improve as he gets out over further. Again, whether 2000 is long enough, I'm not sure. He did drop off badly, compared to other horses over the last 400 metres with his sectional. So you'd think that there's good upside to come also from Au Revoir, and he's another one that. So we've got him at $19. And that's probably about where he's at with the market. So he's sort of a horse that it's sort of, you wouldn't want to dive into him, but he wouldn't surprise you. But that first up run was quite good, and I think this horse is in for a pretty good campaign. On to Big Memory. Look, he went quite well first up, but also behind Smoke and Joey, and then he went quite well second up as well behind Index Linked. He carried 60 kilos versus Index Linked and Extra Zero's 56. So he sort of gets Extra Zero back on the weights a bit here, but he appears on class to be 4 or 5 lengths below the top horses here, like Happy Trails and Fortella, and even on speed, despite the fact the horse can run a strong speed rating up around 120. He's sort of, around 2.5 to 3 lengths off them also. So in all, I'd expect that this horse will run quite well and probably run to the absolute best of his ability, because he's very, very genuine. And I'd expect that he'll probably be beaten 3 to 4 lengths. Sontag, this horse is just not going very well at all. It would be very difficult to see how this horse will turn it around. It appears that it's had some favours in some races early days, and the stable may have set the bar a little bit too high for this horse, because on my figures anyway, that the horse is nowhere near this level, and he's racing too far out of his grade. So he needs to be dropped back in grade and put in races that he's got a chance to win. On to Entirely Platinum. Look, this is a horse that's always shown enormous talent. He's probably a little bit like Big Memory. He's very consistent. He'll up over 2000. He'll consistently produce a speed rating of around 120. I thought he was quite good first up behind Dissident, and I think he'll be better for the run second up. He's certainly going to improve big time out to 2,000 metres. That's where his figures are the best on my end. But again, the reality is on what we've seen, he does look to fall a few lengths too short. But we've got him marked $26, and he's around that. So he's about the right price. But it would be, he'd really need to leapfrog on what he's done to pick up this field. Then on to Spillway, and look, he was really, really good last start. I thought he mowed it home well. We know that he's always promised a lot. He started, hard in the market in a couple of Group 1s last campaign. And it's pretty hard to sort of really knock the horse at all, especially from what he did last start and even first up. His late sectionals were really good, and it was him and Axar last start over 1800 that really were the two best late. And I think that he's produced that 124 on speed. He's up around 109 class, and of the horses that that sort of are a bit off in the class stakes on exposed form at the moment, he certainly does look to be the one that can take the next step. So in our market, he's about $13, and he's just a little bit unders at the moment on the public market. He's about $10. But if you're taking exotics and whatnot, you have to put him in. And then on to Greatwood. Look, I'm not sure what to do with this horse. He really doesn't have a very strong overall speed figure on our end, but that doesn't mean he can't, produce one. It just sort of means that he hasn't been given the opportunity to do so yet. So we'll assess this horse. He's pretty long in our market at the moment, but I could sort of adjust that. But if I sort of do that, it's not going to be like he's a bet or anything. So I just need to really sit down and have another good look, and also use the insight that comes through from the speed profiles to try and get a better understanding of this horse, because he has only had the 5 runs in Australia, and on the clock there really hasn't been anything exciting. So we'll see what happens on them. But at this stage, that's our early market for the Australia Cup. It looks a great race, and we're going to see some good horses in at the moment. We've got Happy Trails and Mourinho on top. They come through a really fast, strong race. They're rock hard fit, I think. Axar, Spillway. So it really looks to be the theme of things through that race. And I think Protectionist is just slowly drifting out. So we'll see what happens with him also. And then the other form line is obviously the Fortella one. But I hope you've enjoyed that run through, and thanks for listening, and happy punting on the weekend. Good luck.